You're welcome to Governantics. Donald Trump has urged Benjamin Netanyahu to scale back military action in Lebanon, calling for a more restrained approach. In a phone interview with NBC News, Trump said he advised Netanyahu to be a little more low-key after recent Israeli strikes on Hezbollah positions. Hezbollah accused Israel of breaking a ceasefire, warning that continued strikes could lead to further escalation. Israel, however, says no ceasefire applies to Lebanon and insists its actions are necessary for national security. Hezbollah launched fresh rocket attacks into northern Israel. The strikes come shortly after comments by Donald Trump, who urged Benjamin Netanyahu to take a more restrained approach in Lebanon. Hezbollah says the rocket fire is a response to recent Israeli strikes, which it claims have violated a ceasefire. Israel, for its part, maintains that no ceasefire applies to Lebanon and says its operations are necessary for national security. Residents in northern Israel have been advised to remain alert, as the situation remains unstable. The exchange of fire is raising fears of a wider conflict, with diplomatic efforts now under increasing pressure. As this story unfolds, breaking developments out of Islamabad, where high-level diplomatic engagement between Iran and the United States is now moving into a critical phase amid a fragile ceasefire in the Middle East. An Iranian delegation has officially arrived in Pakistan's capital to take part in what are being described as high-stakes negotiations with U.S. officials. The talks are focused on stabilizing the current ceasefire and preventing a renewed escalation of violence across the region. The Iranian team is led by senior political figures, including Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf and Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. Their arrival signals Tehran's readiness to engage in direct discussions, although the atmosphere remains tense and highly conditional. On the U.S. side, Vice President J.D. Vance has also arrived in Islamabad to head Washington's delegation. Vance is expected to lead efforts aimed at reinforcing the ceasefire framework and pushing forward diplomatic solutions to long-standing regional disputes. Pakistan is playing a central mediating role in these negotiations, hosting both delegations and facilitating indirect and direct meetings. Security in Islamabad has been significantly tightened. According to reports, Pakistan has deployed over 10,000 military and police personnel as global attention turns toward the outcome of these discussions. Reports indicate that both sides are entering the talks with strong positions and preconditions. Iran is expected to push for specific economic and political demands, while the United States is focusing on de-escalation measures and regional security guarantees. Analysts say this has created a delicate negotiating environment where trust remains limited. The broader context remains highly unstable. The ceasefire in the Middle East is still described as fragile, with concerns that any breakdown in dialogue could quickly trigger renewed conflict. International observers are closely watching the situation, describing these talks as a potential turning point for regional stability. Diplomatic sources suggest that early meetings will involve separate consultations with Pakistani mediators before any direct engagement between the two sides. This phased approach is intended to reduce tensions and create a structured path for negotiations. For now, all eyes remain on Islamabad, where the success or failure of these talks could shape the next chapter of the ongoing Middle East crisis. If you care about what's really happening in the world, this is your place. Subscribe to Governantics for clear, fast, and real geopolitical news.